Thank you for that report, Brenda. And like I mentioned when we started off, we'll be talking about the business landscape in Kenya from the regulator's standpoint, that is the Competition Authority of Kenya. And right now we are joined by Boniface Makango, who is the Director in charge of Competition and Consumer Protection at the Competition Authority of Kenya. Thank you so much, sir, for making time for us.
Thank you very much, Abby. I'm happy that you had me here today.
Excellent. Let's get right into our area of focus. The business conduct during Corona has had a lot of questions being raised, especially looking at how different vendors were pricing items such as masks, sanitizers, to even the simple basic aspects that were supposed to ensure that we have a smooth continuity of the economy. Perhaps give us an assessment. How did the authority respond to such market conduct, and were there any resolutions that were arrived at?
Yes, Abby, as you're aware, the Competition Authority of Kenya is charged with regulating market conduct and market structure in the economy. And when we were unfortunate to have the first case of COVID in the country, one of the challenges that the authority noticed was that immediately there was a lot of price increases which were not warranted. And immediately, pursuant to our mandate on, our mandate essentially is we address issues of conduct, as I've mentioned, and also market structure.
Yes.
And in addition, we also have a consumer protection mandate. And pursuant to our consumer protection mandate, we are charged with addressing and remedying and sanctioning contraventions relating to unconscionable conduct. Unconscionable conduct is where you have, people who are in a position of strength in the marketplace, trying to exploit their strength to the detriment of the consumer. So the first thing we did when we noticed that market players were trying to exploit others because of COVID, we immediately put out a cautionary notice informing them and alerting them to the provisions of the Act, and also informing them about the remedies that we are empowered by law to impose, which include a jail term, but also imposition of a penalty up to 10% of turnover. And apart from that, we went a step ahead, and we sent out teams to the field, across the country, because this conduct was persistent across the country. And basically to monitor the activities of the various retailers across the country.
Yes.
And what we noticed then, in the weeks subsequent to that, is that a lot of the retailers who had initially increased, prices in a manner that was not, based on market fundamentals, started remedying the conduct. And within a month, we noticed that most of the pricing of not only the basic goods, but also the products whose prices had gone up because of COVID, like the masks you've alluded to, and the other, and also the sanitizers, had reverted to their, the normal price which you get, which you charge pursuant to market dynamics. And subsequent to that, we also continued monitoring, for a period of around 4 months, to ensure that we deal with both not only the retailers, but also the manufacturers of some of these items. Okay. And as a result of the authorities' intervention, I'm happy to report that we were able to ride that phase, which is ordinarily would have been a very difficult phase, without over-exploitation of consumers.
All right. Speaking about over-exploitation, the big conversation in the room right now, of course, is unfair business practices. And talk to us about how the retail sector is currently responding to some of your market actions. Have we seen a change of heart? Are they towing the line?
Yes, we noticed that pursuant to our intervention, which was very well publicized thanks to the media, because we work very closely with the media houses and also the print media. There has been a change of heart, and as I mentioned to you, the prices currently being charged for goods and services in the economy, especially for basics and also the other products whose prices had gone up substantially because of COVID, have now reverted to what you would call market rates, informed by market fundamentals, based, of course, on the cost of production and related, logistical and other, costs that go into that.
All right.
And so that, as in spite of the fact that we've had a lot of challenges during COVID, including the fact that sections of the economy actually were shut down, as a result of our intervention, we've realized that not only have these products been supplied to the economy, but that the price at which they are being supplied, which we are constantly monitoring, are affordable to majority of Kenyans.
All right. And Mr. Makango, looking at right now, when you touch on consumer protection, it's a very emotive subject. When someone wants to go purchase rice from their local supermarket, be it sugar, the big conversation right now is as we move towards ensuring that the market pricing is well within the allowed minimums. Perhaps educate us a bit more around how are you able to police and ensure compliance? Because if you look at the size of our economy, it's quite huge. We're looking at an economy of 50 million plus. And of course, when you also look at the retail sector, it has been expanding at a near breaknecking speed. Perhaps how is the authority realigning its strategy, especially when it comes to sourcing for information that can confirm market conduct abuse and, of course, resolve all these issues?
Yes, I'll start, Abby, thank you for that question. I'll start by basically just giving a snapshot of what our mandate entails and clarify from the onset that we are not a price-fixing entity. That is not our mandate. We are not charged with fixing the prices at which products are sold. Mm-hmm. So all we are keen to ensure is that the players in the market and the prices that consumers are ultimately charged are signaled by market forces. Mm-hmm. So how we do that is, first of all, our mandate entails investigating any cartel conduct. Cartel conduct will be where people are conspiring to produce a particular product at a particular fixed price. Mm-hmm. So that is what would warrant our intervention. Equally, where there's a dominant firm and it is abusing its dominance. So maybe it's fixing retail prices or reducing output to price to increase prices, or allocating, geographic locations where certain products are sold. That has an impact on pricing. So those are things that would warrant our intervention. The other thing that we also look at is the issue of the structure of production. So this is where our merger regime, where firms are coming together, they apply to us for approval to determine that, to ensure that we don't have sectors which are essentially becoming monopolies and therefore hindering competition and entry by other players.
All right.
Now, in addition to that, of course, we have the consumer protection mandate, which looks at false and misleading representations by market players, and also issues of unconscionable conduct, also things to do with unsafe goods and defective goods being sold. With regard to how we are getting this information, the authority noticed that in order to become more effective in our enforcement activities and make our enforcement platform more efficient and effective, and also reach out more consumers, we noticed that because of the relative size, we are not a very old agency, and also we are not a very big agency in that sense that we don't have, say, branches that, in the various areas of the country, and you've mentioned the fact that our economy is relatively big. Mm-hmm. So what we've done is that we've come up with an informant reward scheme. And the purpose of this informant reward scheme is to allow people who have information of any contravention that is going on in the economy to come to the authority and give us credible information that then can inform our investigations and ensure that we sanction that conduct, wherever it's happening.
All right.
Whether it's...
Let me interject
yes.
briefly. Sorry for that, Mr. Makango. Talk to us about how much are you looking to put in this scheme? Has it begun working? And what are some of the dangers also?
Yes, the scheme is, I will not disclose the entire budget, but currently the maximum that the informant is we're going to pay the successful informants, who are informants who give us credible information that is reliable and that can also be used in a court of law as evidence. is 1 million shillings or 1% of the penalty that will impose pursuant to that investigation, whatever investigation it is. That is the maximum that we look at giving a successful informant. The scheme has been operational since 1st of July, so we haven't had any applicants, and I think we are encouraging members of the public who have information on any of the contraventions relating to our mandate areas, which I've outlined, to get in touch with us.
All right. And of course, this means of securing information can be described as also being risky, especially to the informants. How will you safeguard against this?
Yes, just like with all kinds of whistleblowing, so to speak, if you can use that word, there's some risk involved. So what we are doing about the risk is, one, we're ensuring that there's confidentiality, throughout the process, so that whoever is coming with information to us, their safety is guaranteed. Because, any witness, if you don't feel safe and secure, and in any kind of scenario like that, you will not be willing to come forth with information. So we make sure that both at the authority, in terms of the people who have access to the information, they are not, the confidentiality ring is maintained so that the information is not disclosed to any other party.
All right.
I just want to assure you that in addition to that, the Competition Act, which establishes the authority, also makes it an offense for any staff of the authority to disclose any information that they come in contact with in the course of their duties. That is an offense. So in addition to the mechanism we put in place to ensure confidentiality, the law also enables us to ensure that, that any staff member who, for instance, will divulge such information, there are consequences to them.
We need to bring this conversation to a close, Mr. Makango, and in just under 30 seconds, it would be unfair for me to end this conversation without picking your mind on some of the big mergers to expect in this year. Have you received any sort of applications yet?
Yes, as you're aware, because of COVID, there has been a serious decline in business in the country. However, we've not received any what I would call big mergers, but we anticipate some mergers in the industrial gases space currently, and that is something that basically is in the news, that there could be something happening in that space.
Sure.
But we've not received any big mergers. But in the previous year, we received some mergers in the telephony space, and we also got some in the banking sector.
All right.
So we have reasons to be optimistic, since the economy seems to be recovering, that equally the transactions will recover, and we are likely to receive many more mergers.
All right. Excellent place to end the conversation. We've been speaking there to Mr. Boniface Makango, who is a director at the Competition Authority of Kenya in charge of consumer protection, and just shedding some light into this very important subject. Well, we want to go on a quick commercial break. We still have much more coming up after the break.